Yeah. Good.
Okay. So give me a sec, then we share my screen.
Okay.
So, so basically, let me know once you're able to see my screen. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So far we have discussed the content server overview. I mean the dog broker, dog base,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean this we have done. Object and type we have to do. Documentum users, privileges, client capabilities, groups, all that we have discussed, right? I told you how to create the
Yeah.
users in
Yes.
DA and all.
Yes. Yes.
And okay. So um, okay, we'll discuss first then object and types in Documentum,
Okay. Sure.
right? Uh, I should say this is a core of Documentum. I mean, there is a two part. One is the architecture in the infra part,
Okay.
right? One is the infrastructure. Second is the you can say the core, basic internal things.
Okay.
So I mean, this is a core of internal things. I mean, the infrastructure. Yes, so many things are there. I mean, so many particular softwares are there. They interlinked with each other. But how, basically, how uh, technically they are communicating. I mean, the technical point of view,
Okay.
right? So that's basically objects and types.
Okay.
Basically, what happens? See, uh, so you can understand it like that way. Anything, for example, if you are developing an application, let's say, you are just uh, uh, one portal, you develop a one portal, and that was taking information from the user and storing into the database, right?
Yeah.
So basically you created tables. In the tables, at the development perspective, I'm telling you,
Okay.
you create a table and then store data into the table, right?
Yeah.
So how that technically the application works, basically everything we take it from the front end and save it into the database, and whatsoever we require, we just give me a sec. I'm sorry. So uh, we store everything in the database, and then further we take whatsoever data we want, or like this. So database is a you can say the backbone of every application or any kind of so any system is there. So database is a backbone of that system, right?
Okay. Okay.
The same way in Documentum also, everything we have to store in database, but because data we directly do not interact with the database,
Yeah.
right? So the content server interact, I mean, content server is a mediator that interact with the database and the front end, right? So they have uh, create a one mechanism to interact with the database, because if a normal user, or if a I mean a general user interact with the database, so there is so many complex things are there in the at the database side. So they make it simple, so that every, I mean, the Documentum users can interact and can utilize database, not in a complex way, in a simple manner, right? In a general, to make it simple, they came with the concept of type and objects, right? Object and types, like this, correct? Instead of database and rows or columns, or right, like this,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
right? In the database, what is there? We have a two thing. In, I'm talking about the normal database, I mean, leave Documentum aside. In normal database we have a tables, right? In the tables, we have a columns and the rows, right?
Right.
Correct? We
Yes.
have a columns and rows. So we store record in a table as a row format. I mean, every record, I mean, if we update data into the table, means we are creating a row by row and row, like this.
Okay.
I mean, let's say, I mean, if I take this example, consider this table as an example. This is a database table,
Okay.
right? So this is a one record.
Okay.
This is a number two is a second record. Number
Okay.
three like this, right?
Yeah.
Right. And we have a columns, right?
Yes.
Columns is that what kind of data that can be entered into the table. I mean, that column defines like this, right? I
Correct.
mean, for example, SR, you cannot write this information,
Right.
right? This information in serial column, right?
Yeah.
Here you cannot write. I mean, Documentum contains server overview. Here you cannot write, like in this column
Yeah.
instead of number. I mean, this column we have defined for number, right? So only number can entered in this column.
Okay.
Got it? Are
Yeah.
you getting my point? What I'm trying to say? So if this column is for status, so we cannot enter module overview, right? I mean, even we cannot enter numbers 1 2 3 4. Here we can't enter, right?
Okay.
Are you
Yeah.
getting?
Only characteristics are allowed instead of numerical.
Right. Yes. I mean, whatsoever. I mean, see, define. We have defined the purpose of this column. So only the at particular. I mean, the values we can enter whatsoever define it so far. I mean, for
Yeah.
that.
So, example in SQL, we are writing that create and insert something so and so care or where care.
Right. That is that's called a data type. What type of data you can enter?
Okay.
So
This is how I can understand, sir.
yeah. That's what. Again, let me take one more example. See, I'm creating a table.
Okay.
Right. Right. Let's say we are creating an employee table.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we employee table. So employee can have a name, right? Employee can have a ID, employee ID. Employee can have a age, correct? And employee can have a salary, right? And let's say employee can have uh, uh, salary, right? Like this. Let's take a four column, or even you can say address, right? So I mean, we define like this. So name could be string. I mean, if I mean the name, if we say the employee name, so what could it be? It could be in form of, I mean, the name always be a string format. A string means character format, right? Let's say char, right? Character format. ID, ID could
ID.
also be character format, right? I mean, 1 2 3 4 ABC 1 2 3 like this, right? And the A's, can A's be in character format?
No.
Right. The all is always be in numeric, right?
Yeah.
And even address, let's say, mm,
Age is int form. Numer.
uh, marital status, right? Right. Is integer. I mean, in talk. I mean, in general, we call it integer.
Integer.
Yeah, numeric. You can say, right?
Yeah.
Salary is, because salary, though salary is a numeric, but always it can be in a decimal value, right? I mean, salary like this, 10 rupees 15 paise,
Mm.
right? Like this. Are you getting my point? I
Yes.
mean, because numeric value cannot be a decimal. So we have separated numeric value with the decimal value. So always we call decimal value as a float,
Yeah.
right?
Actually, float is available in only Java, not in,
Uh, yeah, I mean, float is available in Java.
yeah,
So
not in SQL, I guess.
I mean, here these are also not in SQL. I'm just telling you in general format,
Okay. Okay.
because
Okay.
even see, we cannot go by a SQL. I mean, understand document with respect to the SQL and with respect to Oracle, because we have a different database. We have almost 5 6 database that is supported by Documentum.
Okay.
So you can have a Oracle, or you can have a SQL, you can have a Postgres, you can have any of the database,
Correct. Correct.
right?
MySQL, MongoDB.
Yeah. So like it. So don't, I mean, here I'm not telling you with respect to any particular uh, software version.
No
I'm
problem. It is
yeah,
generalized way for understanding purpose. I will.
exactly.
So,
So marital status, I mean, yes or no kind of, right?
so it's Boolean value.
Correct. Boolean, right? Yes, no. So I mean, we define this column like this, right?
Yeah.
So backend, it store the things at the database, right? Such like a table, it creates a table,
Okay.
right? And store into the database, and the with the particular rows are the right. But in Documentum,
Okay.
the this table concept is not there. I mean, it is there, but it is not there for the end user. I mean, you should not understand like this, that the data is storing as a table format.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, but at the end, obviously it is storing as a table format, but right now, uh, uh, instead of table format, it's stored in a type format, right?
Okay. Okay.
What I mean to say, in Documentum, you create a type.
Okay.
I mean, employee here, it is a type,
Mm.
right? Employee is a type here, and these columns, I mean, type refers to whole particular group of objects, right? Whole table.
Okay.
What the type is referring? Type referring this to complete data, right? This all
Table. Represent.
correct.
Mm.
And the
Okay.
column tells the properties. I mean, what are, I mean, the right
Something classes or how it will be the properties.
proper. I mean, just tell me. Column tells the properties means, if I say this is the employee object, right? I mean, employee type,
Okay.
right? So how would you understand this is a this person is an employee?
Like he is having specific user
Name,
ID, name
right?
and
He
uh,
will have the specific properties, right? Properties. Are you getting my? He would have a specific attribute, a specific, right? I mean, the employee would have a name, the employee would have a ID. These are the properties, right?
okay. I'm just correlating, so we can call it as a classes, right? In Java, the property.
Yeah, I mean, you can class. I mean, yes, you can class it. Call it a class. So class is a whole employee.
Uh,
The type uh,
okay,
is
you carry on, sir. I got confused actually.
yeah, yeah. That's why. I mean, see, I mean, did you understand property? I mean, properties. I mean, so let me give you one more example. We are humans, right?
Yeah,
Why we call we are humans? Because we having such properties, right?
yeah. We can able to speak, communicate.
Right. So speak is what? I mean, the properties, right?
Yeah,
Right. We can move. This is a property, right? These are the properties, right?
yeah.
So if you have a same property and I also have a same property, means we both belong to a same type,
Right.
same, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So I mean, if you have to uh, create one more object of human,
Okay.
right, then he must be having all those properties, right? I
Correct.
mean, he must satisfy that all those property. So right, I mean, if we are creating, then we must have to give him a name. I mean, like that employee, ID, age, salary, right?
Mm.
Are you getting my point? This
Yes, yes,
property,
yes,
right? The same way, we create a type in the document. Type means category, or right, type you understood, right? Type, what is the object type? Object type is is a kind of, you can say, a particular kind of, mm, basically we have a four things that we have to understand over here. Then I will move to the PPT. Object type, properties, attribute, and type objects, right? Hello, am I audible?
I am hearing, sir.
Okay. So what is a object type? Object type is a set of objects, or you can say a blueprint of an object, right? And that has certain properties,
Okay.
right? Object type is a kind of a blueprint that has a certain properties, right? Like here we are taking example employee. Employee has these properties. I mean, if we say this is an employee object, means that object has a, I mean,
Two properties.
right, these properties, right. I mean, if I say employee one, let's say employee one is, employee one is there. One name is ABC, age is 20, salary is 200, martial status false, right? So here what we understand. So
Employer properties like what is his name, age,
right. I
that
mean, if I say what is the property value? I mean, what is the age for ABC?
okay.
I'm saying ABC is an object of employee type, right? Just try to understand. I mean, what I'm trying to see, focus on my language. ABC is an object. ABC is an object of employee type having attribute name. I mean, value is ABC, ID value is 1, age value is 20, salary is an attribute, and the value of this attribute is 200. Martial is status is an attribute of employee type, and the value is false for ABC object,
Okay.
right? And all by combining these, all are the properties, correct?
Okay.
Similarly, we take XYZ, right? And the property ID is the property. One property is a property or attribute, or I mean, properties or attributes, both are the same thing, right? Attributes or properties are the same thing. One property or attribute is right. Sorry.
But what is the difference, sir? Why the meaning is different?
I mean, it's a, I mean, basically some, like this dog we had earlier, we seen two terms, right? Repository or dog base. So sometimes you might see the properties, or somewhere you have you may see attributes. That's why I written both of the things, right? Some places you can see dog base, but some places you can see a repository,
Okay.
right? I mean, it's a way of defining. Somewhere they someone used as dog base, somewhere they have used repository, I mean, written as a repository, but both refers the same. Both of them have a same meaning. Similar to that, properties and attributes both are the thing, same thing. They represent the properties of object,
Okay.
right? And when I say the object type, the type is a whole group of objects, right?
Okay.
So a object always must be having a type. I mean, it must belong to a certain type. I mean, it is not like that there is an object who doesn't belong to anything. I mean, let's say in real world scenario, every object whatsoever you see from your eyes, everything belongs to a certain category.
Okay.
Correct? I mean, if you see the laptop, I mean, or any object, anything that has in a certain category. I mean, if you see your laptop has a certain category, right? Is a HP laptop or like this, we can make it one category, right?
Right.
So every object belong to, similar to the Documentum. We Documentum maintains everything as an object, right? Everything whatsoever you see in a Documentum, inside the Documentum, whether it's a configuration file, folder, workflow, life cycle, method, jobs, anything
Yeah.
that is, even dog base, dog broker, Java method server, right? Everything is maintained as an object,
Okay.
correct? And when I say it is an object, then object always belong to a certain category. That category is a object type,
Okay.
right? Uh, I mean, object could be a more than one, right? So
Yeah.
they belong to a same category. That's why we are calling it as a type. I mean, it belongs to a certain category. That category is called type.
Yeah.
Correct?
Okay.
I hope it's clear for you, right?
Yes, sir. Little confusing, but okay.
I mean, you can ask me the questions. I mean, if because if still you have a doubt, maybe I think it will. I mean, let's we discuss it in the PPT. Maybe uh, you will have some more question, and maybe your doubts might be clear. Right. So we'll discuss this object types in Documentum.
Okay.
So as I told you, Documentum store everything as an object,
Right.
right? Content server store everything in a doc base as an object, right? In a repository, store everything in a doc base,
Okay.
right? Object. And right, it's object. I mean, for example, if you upload a one PDF, a.pdf file is there, you upload a Documentum, that is an object for a Documentum.
Right.
That's a one object, right? Let's say one document, uh, whatsoever you're storing in Documentum. I mean, see, Documentum is used to store a documents, right? Let's say you prepare one document and storing in Documentum. That whole Documentum is an object for Documentum, the
Okay.
complete object, right? Though that document is divided in two parts. One part is that physical content, physical document, and second part is its metadata.
Right.
Are you getting my point?
Yes. Yes.
So, but it's one object for Documentum, right?
Okay.
So this content store in a file storage, A drive, B drive, C drive, D drive, right?
Correct.
Somewhere, right? And the meta stores at the database,
RDB.
RDMS, right? Metadata means properties or attributes. Store it where? At the database tables, right? Or at the database.
Right.
Any doubt? Any confusion?
No, no, no. This one actually you told me in the first section only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what is an object? I mean, as I'm telling you, everything is an object. So what documents, cabinets, folders, users, and everything is an object in Documentum.
Okay.
Correct? So how object is defined? Object is defined by its properties, as we discussed, and uh, and by the methods. Methods means, say, as you say that we can walk. Walk is a method, right? Right. We can, I mean, right. And what is a property? Property is name is a property. Name is not method, right? Age is a property,
Okay.
right? property. But we can talk, we can walk, right? Talking, walking, these are the properties. Oh, sorry, methods. Walking is a method, what we can do, right? But the name is, right, name is a property. Any confusion? So property describes an object,
Okay.
and method describes what work that object can perform.
What activity that object?
Exactly, what kind of activity that object. So if we say documentum object, right, document, we create a documentum object. The object can be created, can be checked in, checked out, can be deleted, right? These are the method, right?
Mm.
And what are the properties? Who created that object, right? I mean, creation date, it created, I mean, that particular date, right? Uh,
Yeah.
who created that object, I mean, owner name, version number, right?
But
Modification date,
mhm.
last modification date. These all are the properties,
Okay.
right?
Okay, that activities or work which is performed, that is called method.
Correct.
Properties means when we are checking, giving that right click, now when we are seeing that
Yes,
property,
right.
example, simple Windows concept in the desktop, when you are clicking that properties, we can see the desktop color and menu and all. So we are changing that screen resolution and the background picture quality. So that comes under the monitor properties. So methods comes under so that particular
Right.
what they are doing,
Yeah.
particular activity.
Yeah.
So that
Correct. What can be done for this? I mean, for example, a folder can be created, right? If you create a folder, that's a method. I mean, I mean, right? We can create users, but we can't check out users, right? Right. So users does not have that method, correct? I mean, let's say we can speak, but some object cannot speak, right? So we have that method. So that's why we are a human,
correct,
and some that cannot do that activity. That's why they are not human. Some of the objects, right?
correct.
They so these methods and properties distinguish object to the objects, right?
Yeah.
So if I say, I mean, this, I mean, so here we are saying there are certain methods and certain objects. So there are some objects that has a certain method that can do certain objectivity and having certain properties. They belong to a one category. I mean, category wise, right?
Right.
Right. And some object has a different method and also having a different property. They have a different category, right?
Mm.
Let's say if we have a 10 objects, I mean, let's say 10 objects, and I ask you distinguish these 10 objects,
Okay.
right? So what would you do? What you will do, you will say these 5 objects belong, are these are in the same of the nature, they have a same method and they have the same property, and these 4 have a same method and same property, right? So you differentiate those 10 objects in a 2 categories,
Correct.
right? So that category is a type, right? So we can say a particular type of object having a such method and having a such property, right? I mean, let's say you divided those objects in 2 category, category A and category B. So what you would say? You would say that category A objects can perform these activities and having these properties. Similarly, category B having such can objects can perform such activity and such properties, right?
Yeah.
So if I show you if I give you 11th object and I say, I mean, having these methods and these property, so easily you can check, I mean, because this object having a such properties and such methods, so it is a part of category B, for example, right?
Mm.
Why I'm giving so much stress for this? Because it's a backbone. If you understood this, most of the thing you understood. So many issues you can, resolve. So uh, here we take one example, right? One object. Let's consider a one object here. This is a one object,
Okay.
right? I mean, let's say we are discussing one object, right? I'm saying one object, so definitely object belong to a certain type, right?
Mm.
So that type name is dm underscore document,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
dm underscore document is type name. So we can have so many objects that belong to a dm underscore document,
Okay.
right? I mean, the type name is dm underscore document, dm underscore workflow, like that. Like this, we have a different type names.
Okay.
I mean, in Documentum, we define the type names like this: dm underscore document, dm underscore workflow, dm underscore sys object, like this,
Okay.
correct?
Yeah.
So here we took one object, and now we try to see what kind of properties that object has, that particular type have. Means, again, let me show you what I'm trying to say. Employee, instead of like we have a dm underscore document, right? This is a type name, and the column, here's the our object id, right? These are the field name basically, right? Object underscore name, keywords, like this, right?
Okay.
This, uh, and we have a couple more object name, title, owner name. Let's say title owner, correct?
Mm.
So here are 1111 object name, a test document. Keyword could be HR document. It could be admin document. I mean, the document belong to a certain keywords, right? So that we could identify with this title, the name of that document. I mean, title could be any document have a title like guidelines document. Owner name Krishna. If Krishna has uploaded that document, and then Krishna is the owner,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
09 ABC01, like let's say ID is like this.
Okay.
So we can have many more objects, I mean, like this,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
uh, I mean, that has a 8 9th and I mean test document something. Did you notice something? I- right? And let's say owner, then we have one more category, authors. Let's say authors we'll have, right? One more column, authors. Ravi, Manish, Suresh. See, I mean, if you try to see couple of column, I mean, some column has a one only one value,
Right.
but some columns have a more than one value,
Multiple. Yes.
multiple values,
Yes.
right? This object has a multiple values. This object has a only single value, but keyword has a multiple value, right? There's a multiple value. Author has a multiple value, correct? And apart from it, what the Documentum do, I mean, or what the system do, system keep some properties by its own. I mean, it provides the value by its own. I mean, it does not allow to enter the values by the users,
Okay.
right?
The
Like this.
system having some certain standards or certain values. In,
Correct. Let's say, I mean, for example, let's say our object name,
okay.
sorry, our object ID. So
Okay.
if, I mean, so that it does not allow user to enter the our object ID, by default it assign the value. I mean, let's say if I have to create one more object,
Okay.
then by default, as I click create, by default system will create this ID, and then, I mean, like this, and then this all other fields are editable. I can edit, or I can provide the values of these other things. I mean, these 4 5 attributes, but this is not allowed to me. I mean, our object ID is not allowed to
Means a
be.
system defined values these and all. So
Correct.
user cannot edit or user cannot change it from,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Got
these
it.
are the some fixed fields, I think.
Right.
It's not very constant fields which is given by the system, not editable or not changed or not modified from user.
Correct. Right. So such type of attribute, such type of properties, such type of attributes that are provided by the system, I mean, that are not available for the user to enter the value, these type of attribute are called I mean, server assigned attribute or server assigned values.
Okay, okay, okay. Which are inbuilt, which are given through the system,
Right.
through that
Right.
doc base or through that server only.
And some of that, where some of the property that user can enter, that is called user assigned properties
Okay. So
or
these
attribute.
values actually assigned by server or application like document. First,
But which one?
server assigned values means which
Which is assigned by the server itself, or Documentum itself, or you can say.
content server.
Yeah.
Okay,
The values of these objects, these attributes are assigned by the content server
okay, sure.
and by user, right?
Okay.
And also, as I told you, couple of attribute has single values and couple of has multiple values.
Yes.
So multiple value, the attributes, or I mean, when I say the attributes or property means column, that whole column, the that properties aside, I mean, is a multiple value properties or called multi-value properties
Okay.
or repeating value property
Okay.
or repeating, correct, multi-value or repeating value, correct, or that have a single value properties are called single value properties or single value attribute. Anything you can say, either property or attribute, right? Both are a synonym of each other, right? Property or properties, right? If it is a more than, then I'm sorry, correct.
Mm.
Now let's come to this. So, so here, if you look at this diagram, these are the single value properties, right? It's a one whole complete one name, abstract of the training document.
Okay.
This is right, some of the value that is assigned by the user. I mean, user can create these value, right? Some of the value that is not available for the user are the server assigned value,
Okay.
correct? Like our object ID. Even owner name is also server assigned values. I mean, for example, once as you upload a document, by default system pick your name and assign it to that
You can't
property.
edit that owner name also. Means,
Right.
yeah, once you are logging that particular user ID, then automatically system will assign that user ID as the owner name.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. And couple of properties are repeating value properties, means it is having a more than one value, right? And separated by comma. So
Okay.
you can, right? The author having a two values, right? Separated by comma.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I hope you understood, right? Any query in this?
And now,
Now we have a object type. So I told you type is what? Type is a kind of a template or a blueprint that described by its properties and methods, right? And what is an object? Hello.
yeah, I can.
Yeah. An object is a single instance of particular type, right? I mean, as I told you, that object, it is must object to have us or to belong to a certain type, right?
Mm.
Right.
Okay.
Now, like this, got it? So type is what? Type is a kind of a template, right? Or kind of blueprint.
Mm.
So that describe that its properties and method by its properties and method. So in case if we create a object of that particular type, then object must have to belong that, must have to perform that method and that property. It should have to have hold. It have to hold that properties, right?
Yeah.
Now, for example, one more thing is that, let's say we have already one type is there. Let's say here we have a one a type is there,
Okay.
right? And a type has a certain properties, right? Like employee has a name is like this, right? Or a dm document, right? We took our object id, object name, like this,
Mhm.
right? And let's say we create a one another type b, custom type, let's say, right?
Okay.
Right. And we, while creating a b, we took a as a super type,
Okay.
right? So in documentum, if any object, sorry, any type having a super type, then the subtype, then the child type or subtype must inherit all the properties of its super type.
Okay. Means,
Yeah, coming to that point. See, we have this dm document, right?
yes.
We already have this dm document. So this type is already defined, right? This type is already there, correct? I'm not talking about objects. So if I say this type is already there, means such kind of table is already there,
Okay.
right? I mean, such kind of architecture is already there. I mean, if any object, if we create any object, he must be, I mean, that always be created within this boundary. I mean with this following attributes,
Right.
correct? Let's say, because we have a legal system. Let's say you are designing a system for storing a legal documents,
Okay.
right? Let's say you have to store a legal documents, correct?
Mm.
And in documentum, out of the box is like this, is already there.
Okay.
This is the out of the box thing, right? But because you cannot use the dm document, why can't you use this? Because these properties are already defined. It is not allow you to add another column,
Okay.
right? Are you getting my
Mm.
point? I mean, because here the columns are already defined. You cannot provide your own columns. So in case you have a legal document, so you have a client name, I mean, the document or the metadata what you have to provide to the system, or you have to enter. I mean, what metadata you have is a client name, client address, right? Case name, like like this, right? Your data is like this, right? Now, if you have to upload these document in Documentum, legal documents in Documentum, because your attributes are client name, client address, client case name, then and then you have to create a type, right? Such kind of type in the system so that you can upload these kind of documents, right? When I say upload these kind of document means you can create an object of this type, right?
Yeah.
Because Documentum takes everything as an object,
Correct.
right? So you have to create this type legal document and can but right, but system does not allow you to create a type like this.
Okay.
What you have to do, you have to create subtype. I mean, system allow you to create only a subtype, not a type, right?
Yeah.
Means it is necessary or it is mandated to select any particular type as a super type.
Okay.
So right,
But
so
why that is required, the super and subtype? So it,
yeah, that's yeah. Why? I mean, see, let's say, mm, why it is not. Yes, I'll come to that point. I mean, gradually you will understand why it is required, right? I mean, I'm coming to that point. So in case, I mean, if you create a type, as I told you, it is mandatory to select a super type, right? So if you select this dm underscore document as a super type, then this legal document is a subtype, right? And
correct.
as according to the law, so this subtype must inherit all the properties of supertype.
Okay.
Means now this, if you create this legal document in the system, then it will be like this. That, I mean, this would be like this, right? The table would be like this. Are you getting my point? It is inheriting these from above table, above our architecture, or above table, right?
Yeah.
It is inheriting from here. So this by default would be there in the system. This must, it is must. I mean, these are three is your custom, right? These three is your custom, and rest are the inherited one. So if you if you create any object of legal document, then this, I mean, let's say you are creating an object, you are uploading a document. So by this, by default, system will assign this id assigned, right? Now these field you have to fill, correct?
Whatever we are trying to include as a part of object type or particular new one, so that one we need to feed the value.
Right. So now the question is that why it is mandatory. No,
Subtype and supertype, why it is required?
right, yes. So if it allow you to create your type, let's say, try to understand, if it allow you, right? So right, so, and in case if it allow you, then these field will not be inherited, I mean, will not come, right?
Okay. Predefined, this is
Right.
predefined
So
document. Right?
in that case, do you think that I mean, how would system manage all the objects? Because system individually assign a one R object ID, one object ID to recognize this object.
Okay.
I mean, how would internal system recognize? Because system doesn't know that whether you have a legal system or like this. I
Okay.
mean, system is right. System only know the R object ID. How many object IDs are there? right? It look the object ID and understand.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Mm,
No. So
okay.
okay, let me try one another way. Say what I'm trying to say. w- I mean, if you create any custom type or any subtype, this subtype inherit all the properties. I mean, don't think like this table. I mean, it is inheriting these. I mean, right. I mean, if this value is there, A, B, C, right?
Mm,
I mean, because like this, right? Don't think that this value is also inherit, because see, this is a object of dm underscore document type,
okay.
right? But here the object of legal document type, but the id is this id, and this id has no this id and this id has no relevance,
Yeah.
right? It's a different, I mean, if I say what I mean, this id belongs, this id is belong to legal document, but this id is belong to dm underscore document.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why it is necessary? Because so that system could recognize the thing. I mean, now what you would do, you'll inherit it. I mean, let's say you have a legal documents, like I mean, further if you, I mean, you take this type as a super type and further create super subtype,
Okay.
right? So these all field, these all these all become inherited to this. Correct? Are you getting my point? I mean, so let's say legal sub documents are there. So legal sub document has two its own. Then one, two, three, four. I mean, the remaining these one will be inherited to this
Okay.
subtype. Correct?
Yeah.
So let me make you understand. See, TCS. Let's say TCS has a worldwide office, right?
Mm,
Right. This is a TCS.
right.
I mean TCS worldwide. I mean, not talking about TCS India. This is a TCS India,
Okay.
right? And this is a TCS US.
Okay.
Further, it's TCS Hyderabad.
Mm,
It's a TCS Noida.
okay.
Yeah, it's a TCS California. Uh, TCS Parsippany.
Got
Right, like this.
mm,
So this TCS is there, right?
mm,
But if you creating this subtype, it always inherited some of, I mean, this, right, will inherit it, right? Whatsoever the policy TCS will have must be followed by this TCS India and TCS USA, right?
mm,
And further, TCS India is a super type for this TCS Hyderabad. So or TCS and TCS Noida, right? Whatsoever that rules are applicable for are there in TCS India must be followed by TCS Hyderabad and Noida, right?
mm,
Are you getting my point?
mm,
But the TCS, let's say employee ID, let's say employee id, right? So this employee id will be same for this one, so for the same for this one will be same for this one will, so that you can recognize, right? This,
mm,
I mean, if you have that particular id, it doesn't matter whether you are a part of India or, like, you can recognize, right? This is a part of, this employee is a part of India or part of TCS. Correct?
yeah.
So same way, if I mean, right, if this I mean, further if I say, if TCS, I mean, India maintains the ID and TCS US maintains their ID, I mean, IDs like this. So what the, I mean, can we recognize that these employees are a part of TCS? No, right? I mean, how this USA person will know that this employee is a part of TCS India or the part of TCS? I mean, again, for example, you are a part of TCS. Let's say you are a part of TCS Bangalore, for example, right? Can you I mean, in case if I say that I am a TCS employee of US, can you recognize me? Of course. you know the ID. I mean, you can check ID in your system, and you know the right.
Wait,
By
I
be,
didn't see actually. I can.
because that database is maintained over here,
Yeah.
not T. I mean, if the database is maintained by TCS India only, then would you able to recognize, or would you able to check my ID in your system?
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get
I'm saying, let's say, I mean, which company do you belong?
some ex-pharma company, I can say, in Bangalore. Okay.
Okay.
So that parent company also in Bangalore only, but having branches in Bangalore and Hyderabad.
Hmm.
So from here, I can see that employee IDs of Mangalore and Hyderabad.
Exactly.
So I cannot see the employees of Bangalore from Mangalore. Or
Uh, just okay. I mean, what I'm trying to say. See, you can. I mean, you can check the this person belong to this pharma company that are there in Hyderabad. I mean, in the same company you belong,
yeah,
right? So, I mean, so I mean, how you can know that this belong to your company? I mean, or you both having a belong to a same organization, because database or the employees are maintained by their higher level, right? I mean, at the super company or present company, right?
yeah, parent company.
Parent company. That's why, right? I mean, if they are maintained at the child level, would you able to know that where it belongs? I mean, right? Because you recognize your, for let's say two siblings are there, right? One boy and one girl, they have a same father, let's say. So how they recognize, I mean, this is my sister because of their father, right?
Correct.
Right, because the database is maintained at their father end,
Mm.
right? If let's say father is not there and sister is maintaining a database, father brother is maintaining a database, would able to they recognize we are a both we are a sister brother?
No.
No, right? So same I'm trying to ask tell you,
Yeah.
this DM document, I mean, why it is required, why is required to inherit the properties, right? And
Mm.
now take consider the same example, son son, I mean, the brother, sister, and father, let's say. I mean, what things, what things are common with son and brother? I mean, that boy and girl, father name, right? This
Surname is same or yeah,
this so this is a father name, right? Father name, I mean, same father name belong to that girl, and same father name belong to a, right?
correct. Yes,
So
their father name will come at the end of their name.
correct, right? So that's why they are able to recognize, right?
Yes.
So similarly, if it does not inherit the properties, then how would the system know this is a legal, I mean, they are the legal documents, right? Because
Okay.
they are uniquely maintaining this ID. I mean, this R object ID is a unique ID that
Okay.
is maintained, I mean, irrespective of doc type. I mean, right, two object ID cannot be the same. I mean, our object ID or the object ID is a unique. So what it do, it they create a system like that, the type has to inherit its super type. So this ID, this object ID always be a unique,
Okay.
because see, this table has this, further this has, so that this cannot be a unique. Oh, so you cannot be a duplicate, right? Okay, if it's still not clear, I mean, gradually you will understand. I mean, once we
Yeah, I
do,
got that 50 percentage, means 60 percentage I got it,
yeah.
but maybe,
Actually, your thing is that technically I can show you that how it's so, but I mean the database and all, but I want to make you understand it's, admin point of view, not technical exactly. I
yeah,
want you should understand, yeah, because technical people so easily can understand, but yeah, but my motive to make you understand as theoretically.
yeah, okay. Fine.
Okay. So now let me come to this. Right. We discussed this all object, I mean,
Types, object types. Yeah.
object types, right? So if super type and subtype always inherit the properties of super type,
Okay.
correct?
To recognize that object or to identify that object,
Right. I mean,
you
yeah,
definitely inherit the properties of supertype when we
right.
are customizing or when we are taking that subtypes or when we are creating a new document or new template. So
It inherits super type properties of super type.
super user super type properties. So in order to recognize that database, also in order
Right.
to identify that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is the basic feature in order to identify, but just you just understand if subtype is there, then it must inherit its super type.
Oh,
Must.
okay,
Right.
got it.
Here's an example of some of the types are there in the system.
Okay.
Right. As I told
These
you, I
are
mean,
all starting with DM only.
yeah, all are starting with the DM because it's a nomenclature that is Documentum follow, so that nobody get confused. I mean, if for example, if you have to create anything custom, so you should not be confused by looking that whether it's a custom or whether it's out of the box. So by looking at you easily can understand that this is
So
even I
user, I understand. ACL means what? Sir?
yeah, I mean that I'm coming. Everything I will come. I mean, so many things are there to describe. So right, what is that? See, this is a first super type, persistent object,
Okay, persistent object. Yeah.
right? I mean, and second you can see, and the second level, right? It is inheriting to this. I mean, it's a subtype, right? This subtype. Are you getting me? What does it mean? Means DM underscore user is inheriting all the properties of persistent object. DM ACL is inheriting all the properties of persistent object. Correct? Are you getting my point? That we discussed, right? Inheritance.
Yeah.
Similarly, DMR content is inheriting all the properties of all the properties, right? Properties means that column, right? That at right.
Okay.
Similarly, DM store, similarly DM underscore format. I mean, these are the different tables you can understand, right? So if this DM underscore user has a 4 column,
Okay.
right? 4 column. So it must be having a 3 column of this persistent object, right? Like this,
Okay.
3 column. Are you getting my point? What I'm trying to say, let me show you. Let's say this DM underscore ACL is there, right?
Mm.
And is it here? It's a column 1. Let's say column 2, right? Like this, right? And I mean, so if it's custom, I mean, column 1 column 2 belong to this DM ACL, then rest of this part of what? It's super type
Okay. Yeah.
because it inherit, right? Similarly to the legal document it inherit, right? I mean, if you see the tables of DM underscore ACL, and if you see that it having a 6 column, let's say if it has a 6 column, right?
Mm.
Then these 4 belongs to its super type and these 2 is of that one,
Subtype.
correct?
Mm.
Because you cannot look like this only the column of DMACL only,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because this internal table I'm sorry, yeah, because this table must have that inherited one. I mean, it always display the inherited one.
Okay.
I mean, I will let you know how to see that whether it is their one or inherited one we can check, but I mean by default system display all, right, including inherited.
Okay. Basically, what we are calling, sir, inheritance and some other thing is
Subtype, supertype.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say, see, this persistent object has a three properties, right?
Or we are writing like for understanding.
No, no, just for understanding, I'm telling you, yes. I mean, though it having it has a three properties only. Persistent object only has a three properties. So, right. And DM user has, let's say, for example, this, for example, I'm telling you, right? Right. In its individual one, then how much it would have? DM underscore user would have
So
three
three is
plus
the main and also plus two, 3 plus 3. I can say
seven approx, right? I mean, by default it will, because it inherited three like this,
by
right?
default 3 it will come. So
Right.
what
Let's say,
is the other we are
yeah,
trying to define that plus this. Okay.
yeah, right. Let's say these all have a three on its own. I mean, let's say, I mean, for just for a timing, we are understanding this DMS, ACL, DMSys object, DMR content having a three on its own properties,
Yeah.
having three own properties, right? And plus three this
Yeah.
inherited one,
Yeah.
right? By default, because it has to inherit. I
Correct.
mean, it's no way it cannot inherit. It has to inherit. It's a must in the system,
Okay.
right?
Mm.
Right. So if you look at this here, I mean, these first row is inherit, but only rest. I mean, let's consider third row. It is all these third row inherited by only sys object, DM sys object,
Correct.
correct?
Mm.
Right. So means DM register would have by default 3 plus 3. I mean, this 6, it inherit this 6, right?
Mm.
Got it? I mean, this DM register by default it's on 2, then it would have 2 plus 6,
Correct.
right? What I'm trying to say, yeah, that I wanted to
Like implementing.
yeah, make you understand. Similarly, see, we have this DM underscore document, right? And then we have a DM underscore folder. Again, DM folder is inherited by DM cabinet. So these all properties, 6 plus, let's say 1 is there, it will have a 7 plus, right?
Yeah.
All, I mean, all coming to this. I mean, it is not like that it inherits only on its super one. Whatsoever is there into super one, it is inherited by the sub one.
Okay.
Now, your question was that DM underscore user you understood, but what is this DM underscore ACL? What is this DM underscore sys object? What is the DMR content? DM underscore store, DM underscore format, right? Out of the box, system created a type of objects. As I told you, system define Documentum content server store everything as an object,
Okay.
right? Everything, whether it's a folder, workflow, life cycle, anything.
No, no, like other terminologies and all, we
Yeah,
can, by reading that, we can understand.
right.
Like user and workflow, node, procedure, folder, cabinet.
Yeah,
What
ACL is a basically security in that case.
Yeah, I think you told me in the
Yeah,
word
yeah.
when I
Yeah,
question. Access
yes.
control, something,
Access control list, right?
yeah, control list. And sys object means system objects, right?
Correct. System object. Sys
And
object
also
is a
content what is there in that particular document or a content server. So that is called content. And format is how the documents format will be look like. That is comes as a format.
yeah. I mean,
Then,
yes.
yeah, I think registered. I don't know what is registered. Not.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, gradually I will come to that. I mean,
Okay.
though
Okay.
DMR content means does, I mean, uh, DM store what, I mean, gradually we will use these all,
Okay. No problem.
right? So, but before that, I mean, see, we have a following this DM underscore user, DM underscore ACL. So these are the type, and these type has their own purpose, right?
Okay.
So that's why they Documentum has created the category, or you can say the type. So whatsoever the purpose of object we have to create, we can create of that type, particular type. In case we have to create users, right, in the system, the users, right, means what we are doing, we are creating a object of dm underscore user. Not getting
Sorry, sorry.
what I'm trying to say. I mean, these are the types, right?
Yeah.
In case we have to create any object in the system, we have to first select what type of object we have to create,
Yeah.
right? For example, we are creating a users,
Yeah.
means we have to create a object of dm underscore user,
Yes.
right? In case we have to create security,
Mhm.
then we'll go and select dm's acl. I mean, we have to create object of dm underscore acl.
Okay, okay.
Are you getting my point?
Yes. These are all predefined one, right?
Yeah,
Object.
these all are the predefined one. In case you
As-
have to create a legal doc, that's a legal doc,
Okay.
right? Legal doc, then you'll do this.
Document.
Further you did this, let's say, again, even give you more, let's say you have to create tcs like this, right? Further, like this, tcs india, tcs hyderabad,
Okay.
right? Further tcs, I mean, let's say tcs india and tcs usa. Further tcs hyderabad, bangalore, and chennai. So see, this is inherited by all. So all whatsoever here, you will find here as well,
Okay.
because everything is inherited by every row. I mean, every layer.
So one question here.
Mhm,
Last sentence you are specified that you can also create custom type user defined types. That
mhm,
means that where I mean you can say that just you explain the example of legal. So legal belongs to the DM document. From the document you are taken that parent's inheritance also. So that also it will come in that particular document type. So custom types means it means that same only.
yes, custom. I
Like
mean, the legal is a custom. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Workflow, I want to take it as a example. I can say for check-in, check-out, and what I can say for
yeah.
approval and author and
Correct.
that.
So in that case, yeah. I mean, see, you are designing a workflow or any workflow instance are there, they would be a part of this. I
No,
mean, in that case,
okay,
yeah. I mean, whether you are creating or whether system is creating, I
okay,
mean, some of the types are there. I mean, some of the object of that types are there, that is only allowed to the system.
okay. So one thing here. So
Mhm.
system having some specified workflow format. So okay, in order to change that format, again we can go for configuration settings, right?
uh, right. I mean, not like exactly like this. I mean, see.
Example, I can say first step is like create document. So after create document, then we need to assign that to reviewer and approver. So once that we are getting the documents comments from reviewer and approver, so then we are making that as a sorry. First we will use the training, then we will make it as a document effective.
Mhm,
Okay, this
mhm,
process is a continuous process where that everyone is following.
mhm,
But I don't want to do that. I want to restrict the document workflow for the without reviewing of the document. I just want to sorry without effective the effectiveness of document. I just want to make that only approval till approval is the final document. In such cases and all, that workflow should be redesigned in
mhm.
I mean with respect to that standard workflow. So in that case, we can do by the configuration settings or how it will or customization.
It's a part of customization. So by configuration settings, see, first of all, you have to design a workflow. Design in the sense, uh, let's say, I should say, you have to write a code. I mean, code is not like that, that you have to write a code in form of English language. There are certain drag and drop tools are there. You can, I mean, first of all, you need to develop that workflow design. right? When I say the workflow design, I mean, see, this is the approval. I mean, like this, you have to define that it will go here, it will go reviewer, it will go not reviewer, like this, right? So this is a one template. I mean, you have to define the template. That template is a dm underscore process. So once you save this template into the system, right, then it create a workflow like this. So first of all, this workflow is a different thing that you are talking about. That workflow is a different by this dm underscore workflow.
So workflow development means how it will come, sir.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain tools available. Again, we have a one another tool uh, that is either called its process builder. uh, you can give
Document builder,
uh,
published or builder.
no, not as that. Even uh, we have a process builder, that tool, or workflow manager. There is a one another tool provided by the open text. I mean, it's a part of suite of products. So that is used, that is a workflow designer tool where you design a workflow. Once you design that workflow, you save that workflow in Documentum, right? Once the workflow is saved into the Documentum, then is that workflow is available for use in D2.
Okay. But that also I need to know that thing, the best part of.
Yeah, yeah, I will show you, I mean, how we workflow design. But again, all the integration is, that's, again, I told you, I mean, that's that. But I will show you how to design a workflow. Even
Design workflow you can show me, and also integration means one or two application like a pharma, as you said, you are working in pharma.
yeah, D2, yeah. See, pharma is a different thing. This designing a workflow,
No,
integrating,
not
that's a different
designing
thing.
a workflow. I'm just telling that there are some one or two applications which are depending on the document. So first one is TrackWise and the second is LMS, means the Learning Management System, and Change Control Deviations Management System. So those two are I mean, purely depending on the document. In case of training module, so we are once we are making prior to this document made effective, we are taking that. Training copy and assigning to the training module. So that interface or that configuration or that development is required. Second thing is when we are raising any change management or deviation management. So that time also we are taking that base document from the document only. So that time we are linking the document with that particular application. So in that case, maybe it may require for the workflow development or that launching software, third party interface. Hello?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm just telling about my, I mean, in our current company scenario. So, we are just pulling out the documents when we are initiating any change management system on that by using any third party tool. So that it is taking the document once the person is checked in the document. So, it is saved in that database. So once they are opening that second application, so they are linking the document with the by giving the keywords or by giving the dates or something. So that one, how to do that, I just want to know.
Okay. Okay. So when we discuss this D2 part, we can check. I
No,
mean,
no, no. I'm just telling that. So
yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah, you told me that you will explain
Hmm.
initially. You just show on demo like how
Okay.
to
Okay.
workflow development as well as how to integrate that third party to.
Okay. So this is a part that's inheritance we discuss, right? Uh, Here, if you look at this, we have a persistent object. Persistent object has a three attributes, right? Then we have a DMSys object. DMSys object has these attributes, right? And this DM document, and that has a many more, right? Many others. Means what is that? These would be inherited to this. These all attributes would be inherited to this, right? I mean, means DM document has these all attributes. Are you getting my point?
These are fixed one or how, sir?
See, I mean, these all are the fixed. I mean, these are the out of the box persistent object, DM sys object, DM document. These are the out of the box.
Okay.
So, I mean, I mean, just take an example. I mean, just for example, if DM document, if you look at the attributes of DM documents, that will have all these,
Okay.
right? Because it is inherited one, right?
Yeah.
Because it's inherited to the sys object, and by default sys object is inherited this persistent object, so it contains these three,
Okay.
and right, these three is contained by the sys object. Similarly, DM document contain the sys objects. So because this above three is already included in the sys objects, so that therefore uh, it is there for DM underscore document, right? Here I told you that there is a one attribute that is assigned by the system itself, that is called R object ID. So by looking at the object ID, DM, right, uh, that this is a field that by looking at object ID, we can know the what type of object it belongs,
Mm.
right? Like 09, right? So this object ID is 16 digit character. First two digit represents the type of object, what type of object it is.
Mm.
Next next digit defines the object ID, dog base ID, sorry, right? Or you can say the repository ID, right? And rest digit are the unique keys, unique digits,
Okay.
correct? I mean, so that it identify as a unique, right? So by looking at two objects, I mean, first two digit, you can recognize that what type of object it is,
Okay. First two is a document, DM document.
right? So
Mm.
first two is a DM document. If it start with 08, then it's a DM sys object. If it start with 06, then it's a DMR content. If it start with 05, then DMR containment. Start with 41, then DM note. If it start with 0C, then cabinet. Start with 0B, then DM folder. Start with 11, then DM underscore user. 12 like this, right? This. So why, what is the reason to tell you like this? Why we can recognize? In case, let's say some issue came into the application, right? And you go to the log to see what kind of error it is throwing. Let's see, you see some ID in that error, right, in the logs,
Okay.
right? Like this, the ID is written, let's say here 08 something, that, right? Now you know the object ID, right? So
Yeah.
that you can see and tell that what exactly the issue is coming, right? The issue is the workflow, the issue is the user, the issue with the document, or issue with the sys object, or like this. Are you getting my point?
To recognize that where the exact problem is occurs, so to identify those problems, this will help. So
Right,
and also to identify as well as to resolve that issues or
ex-
anticipating the problem.
right, anticipating the problems, yes. I
Uh,
mean, if it's
so in the
that,
case of admin role,
right, correct. I mean, if this ID is showing 11, so that you understand that issue with the user,
yeah.
right? And you can check the permission of user, XYZ of the user, and resolve that issue. I mean, you can anticipate. Now, how that these things are is to, I mean, though this is a development perspective, but just for your understanding,
Problems. Yeah.
how this type, I mean, so far we saw this is the type, right? DM underscore document, DM underscore sys object, right? These all are the type.
Correct.
but actual these types are not saved at the database as like it, as it is showing.
Okay.
What I mean to say, I mean, here we see that DM underscore user, but if you go to the database and try to see the tables, whether the DM underscore user table exists or not, it will not, it will show you no tables exist with the name of DM underscore user.
Okay.
Rather, it's you can you see two tables are there with the name of starting with the name of DM underscore user, but the it I mean there would be a suffix underscore s or underscore r like this. So for type every type you find two tables, right? One table, I mean two table, every type store within the two tables. One table is underscore s and another table is underscore r. DM underscore user underscore s, DM underscore user underscore r.
Okay. Why is that?
Right. Now, why it is happening? See, if you remember, we have a two kind of values in the system,
Okay.
right? One is repeating one, second is single one.
Yeah.
So our table store all the columns that are repeated, and S table store all the columns that are single.
Sorry, sorry. I think maybe you told Ulta, I think. S means single, or R means repeated, or R means single. S.
S means single, R means repeated.
Okay.
So if table name, I mean, if you see that this table DM underscore ACL, then DM underscore ACL underscore R, it will hold all the columns that are repeated one, right? R for repeated one, and all and DM underscore ACL underscore S, these columns will be a single one.
Okay. Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
Right. So name of the type underscore s, name of the type underscore r table stored the single value properties, sorry, s table stored the single value properties, and r table stored the repeating value properties. Correct. Like this, if you take, you can take an example like this. See, we have a version label, authors, keyword that are stored in r table, and the s underscore s is a single, they are stored in like this.
Okay.
Correct. Here's an example we took, right? Training, test, sample document, John Smith, Sue Jones. They are stored in a repeating table, all the repeating columns,
Okay.
right? There's a views as well. And Documentum system, this content server uses the views as well. So views are a kind of combination of more than one tables, right? It join more than one table, correct?
Yeah.
And display the results.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so
But
we
how this results will show? I mean, you said that S is single value, R is repeated value, which is
mm,
stored in this table name.
um,
So this view is how to see that? Means,
like this. I mean, GUI front. There is no difference in the GUI wise. And technically, how is displaying?
okay.
I mean, how it is coming. You do. I mean, the user have no different feeling. I mean, they look the same way.
Okay.
But in actual, how technically is coming. So rather querying on a simple SQL query, it query on the view and gives you the results. I mean, in turn, see, uh, I mean, let's say what recipe it is using. This is
Okay.
a recipe kind of, but at the end, you see the vegetable. I mean, this particular, I mean, it is, but what kind of recipe it is using. So view is a kind of recipe that is used by internal Documentum, but I mean, there is no difference in the that particular vegetable or particular dish.
Okay, fine. But only that thing on view also, view means that comes as a UI level only, right? So that's the reason I'm just asking how these objects will look like in the background.
Okay.
If you are saving any documents in this document. Example, you explain me all this fields and types and all.
Yeah.
Once you are storing in this document, so how the files will look like? So
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, here I would suggest you to, I mean, today just go through this all the PPT. We'll
okay,
have a yeah, so that we'll take it the practically. We'll see how it works,
okay,
and also just, I mean, as already I said, I mean, uh, do not, I mean, also read these all things that as a notes
yeah.
what is there, right?
You can send me through WhatsApp because I haven't, I mean, I'm not remembered how to connect in the WhatsApp web. So I just connecting through WhatsApp web so that I can download directly from WhatsApp web instead of phone. For you
Okay.
also easy, I guess.
So I will say you over the email. You want me to send to the mail, right?
Mail also fine because I connected this WhatsApp web also. WhatsApp web means directly I can download right in the laptop.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
So this option I just forgot actually. Just
Okay,
place
no
code
problem.
scanner. If I scan means WhatsApp web, I can view the laptop. I guess.
Mhm. Not an issue. I will share you over email as well.
Yeah, yeah. And also one question. So I just read that LDAP server. So
Uh-huh.
I have some couple of questions on that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
correct.
you shown to me for the LDAP server to this mainly exporting that users and all. Secondly, that system defined one more is option is there right in the drop down you shown to me like hello?
Mhm.
That details and all. So once I have gone through this some couple of tutorials, but I haven't gone through completely. So what I have understood, so this LDAP there is some what I can say. It is also one kind of supporting to the database.
Right. I mean, LDAP is, yeah,
And also,
LDAP is a tool.
yeah,
LDAP, or basically LDAP is not a tool. LDAP is a protocol
protocol.
that
Yeah,
is, yeah, that is used by the Active Directory. Active Directory is a product of Microsoft,
yeah.
right? Microsoft has a one product, Active Directory, that is that is a lightweight, I mean, lightweight database, you can say.
Okay, okay,
So because why the lightweight? That is just used only to manage or maintain our users,
right.
right?
Also, I just saw that when we are writing that there is some kind of program kind of thing. So it is taking the fields in the descending order. When it is taking in the what I can say. I just saw that the fields and all right. It comes as a host or server name or these things. So when LDAP, it will take that fields and all in the reverse order when it is taken in the system that I have seen. Like it is interlinking with the DB2 server, right? So DB2 database. So it is as a protocol and it is taking that I mean DB2 database as a support and then it will execute that contacts in the database.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I will go through once again because I haven't remembered that how the I mean how the system I mean how the contact will be saved through the different fields and all. So LDAP how it will take from the different fields from the descending order when it is taking the program from the database it will take in the descending order from the system.
Yeah. So though, I mean, again, no need to go like that way. I mean, that you are that, I mean, the Microsoft, just understand like this, this I mean, search for Active Directory rather searching for LDAP.
Okay,
Search for the Active Directory,
okay,
AD.
okay,
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. So functionally, you understood a lot more.
Okay.
Because the LDAP is kind of a programming on something at all.
No, no, the programming also not much. Actually, I speaking,
Mm.
maybe I just checked in the tutorial points, and
Okay.
so they have only 1 or 2 pages document, which is describing about, I mean, describing about only LDAP, not the Active Directory. Anyhow, I will see the basics thing between that Active Directory and all. So let me check.
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, Thanks for your time.
Maybe it will take some time to get the concept. Again, I
Yeah.
will need to go through the slides once
Sure.
again.
Sure. Yeah.
So I will just have a questions if any. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.